I'm Scott L. Miller. This is Sheep Guarding Llama, and this is the 6th of May, 2020. And really need to do something with my beard. Our big thing is we did a bunch of removing trees and branches and stuff going back that way. But the big thing is we had mentioned it the other day, but it didn't come through till tonight, so I haven't mentioned it on here. But obviously we got our stimulus check. I did mention that, right? But we were like, "Oh, what are we supposed to do with it?" We're like, well, one of the things we have to do is get the house fixed. And obviously we have this disaster going on up here, which has been going on for forever and has been driving us crazy. And I'll give you a couple angles of it here so you can see just how bad it is, but it's really, really bad. And those pillars are going to fall at some point, and they're going to tear off the roof. And the roof is already partially ripped off. And it's unfortunate because it's so nice. Like, we love those pillars and how they look. And I'm gonna step out into the street and spin around. This is an identical house that still has the pillars, and it looks great, but theirs didn't have flooding from the city having a water main go for a couple years underneath the lawn right here. So that made this sink over time. You can also see this is all the trees and stuff we pulled out, and 7 bags of drywall because there's all kinds of work going on. So also that started today is ripping the drywall out of not the master bath, but we have this area that's like the sinks leading up to the master bath. So it's like the master sink area. I don't have a name for it. The master closet is attached to that but not open to it. It's weird, right? And so it's a room without a name, but where the sinks are, all that drywall is coming out because the master bath has already had that done. So that's the next piece. But so we had already had a quote for it from one of our neighbors just over here, had some work done. And so we contacted the guy that did that, and he gave us a price on this. And it was a little bit high. I mean, a little bit high. I'm sure it's a good price. It was a little bit high for what we were, hoping we could get away with. And I said, this was a couple weeks ago. And when the stimulus check came in, I said, with COVID going on, because that was not going on when they first gave us the quote, he said, well, what if we call him and said, look, here's the deal. We got a stimulus check. Here's how much money we have. You want to take this down? And I'm like, if he's busy, he'll say no. And, we'll do it some other time. Like, we're not saying no and that it's a bad price or that we don't want to do it. We're just saying we'll need to wait. But if he's willing to do it for less, he can do it right now. And there's a chance they're not busy. They immediately accepted today. And so they're coming out on Saturday, which in 2 days, to begin the process, right? I'm sure it'll take a few days, but they're going to come out and figure out what materials they need to be able to start taking this down. So we're going to remove these 4 pillars here, and this roof here is going to be taken back to the main part of the house. This sidewalk, which is completely destroyed because the pillars sit partially on it, they've sunk into the lawn and picked it up. So it's all ruined. That's hopefully all going to come out. And then this whole area is going to be turned into one bigger lawn. This was all bushes today, and then it got taken out. So this was actually all taken out tomorrow on the 7th, because obviously I'm filming this on the 7th. So that is the pile, almost all from the bushes from right here. These are the ones that Dominica is allergic to, and so it drives her crazy. She was allergic to some back there, but they were smaller. This is the big ones. So between the sidewalk coming out and the pillars coming out, that's gotta be about 2 meters of lawn over there, plus the bushes coming out over here. It's almost a meter. We're gaining almost 3 meters of additional width to our front lawn. So that's going to completely change the house. Obviously, I love the pillars, so I'm going to miss them, and I wish they weren't going away. But they're also, look how dark they are, right? And when we come out our front door, which is right here, you come out and you're blind. If someone was standing in the lawn over here, you couldn't see them even in the daytime, let alone at night. And it creates all these shadows. And so that whole area is just really dark all the time. And so making this all light is going to be great. We're going to have visibility to our front door. It's going to add to safety. It's going to make the living room a lot brighter, because those are the main living room windows. They're always shaded. And this is the south face. So there's just a lot of potential. And then this is going to be a really big lawn over here. I mean, not really big, but it's going to be quite a substantial lawn. And one of the things we're kicking around is having a fence built all the way between us and the neighbor, because they're flush. And then when these are gone, making that into a big open but enclosed area, so it's private. Move our mailbox, which is currently, but you can see it there, moving it out here to the front, and just making it a completely private space on the front side of the house, basically giving us a really nice new lawn that we've never actually had before, because it's always been open to the road, and for a long time it's got these dangerous pillars, so you never play out there or anything, because what if the pillars fell? So it'll be quite the change. And of course our normal front lawn right here, which of course we need to mow because of COVID, no one's mowing. This is really unusable because, I mean, it kind of looks decent on the video. That's not a very big space. It's very shallow, and it's right against the sidewalk and the road, and so in no way would it be comfortable to use that for anything. And similarly, we have the same kind of space in front of the new lawn over here, and it's an okay space, but we have to, first of all, we have to put our trash here. This is where our trash pickup is, so that's there a lot of the time. But all that is way back behind what we have over here. So this is basically our little grass in front, and that's going to be our pretty substantial private space. So we're talking about, what if we put up a pergola? What if we had like a fire pit, or at least a table and chairs, and some nice stuff over there? It could be a really nice place for us to actually use. We could sit out and work on laptops. We could sit out and eat. And we've actually been kind of lacking some of that space other than the atrium, and the atrium has its own challenges, partially because of how tight it is. So we may end up turning this into a space that we use more than almost anything. Other than that, that was our big thing for the day, kind of just an event that happened. Other than that, the kids have been doing homeschool as usual. They are liking their new curriculums. That is going well. That is not a proper word. Curriculi. Gosh, I don't know. And so school's been going well for them. Work was pretty decent. And we spent the evening watching Kara and Nate. Dominic and I stole the Roku device that the girls have, because we figured out they haven't used it in like forever, and the one that we had, we didn't have a Roku, we had the NVIDIA Shield, which is garbage. Don't ever buy one. Total crap in every way. It was the worst device. It was the most expensive device like that, and the worst one I've ever used. Useless for video games, terrible for normal stuff. Everything about it was bad. It has great hardware that they never made work properly, and just, I don't know why it was so expensive. I don't know why it was made the way it was. We had really high hopes for it to be able to use it also for video games, and it was just garbage. So we replaced the $200 thing that turned into a lump of plastic with the $25 Roku that the girls were not using, which works beautifully. I don't know why we hadn't thought of this previously. So now that's working in our bedroom, and we're able to watch TV in there again. So Paul spent the evening playing Beat Saber, and Liesl played Beat Saber for a while as well, to the point where her shoulders hurt. And Dominic and I watched more Kara and Nate. That's about it. Pretty relaxing evening. Luciana has taken an interest in playing Animal Crossing New Leaf, which is for the Nintendo 3DS. So she spent a bit of the evening tracking down some games in 3DSs and trying to get them working and charged, which we started doing, but did not get completed today, but that was part of what she did for the evening. And of course she played video games with her cousins, as she often does. And more or less, not a lot going on. So that is the news from here. I spent a lot of the day also researching how to make maps for YouTube videos, and the answer is, outside of using After Effects and having someone who's an expert at that, I have not yet found a process for even buying them, let alone doing them yourself. I've got nothing. So still working on that, and that is currently slowing up the editing that I'm working on. But that's my current project. See everybody tomorrow.